When I was younger, my favorite car brand was BMW, the ultimate driving machine. I always wanted to be a motoring journalist, so I can drive new and exotic cars with V8 engines and enough torque to tear a hole in the road. Now that I'm here, however, everything has gone electric, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You may think that electricity is taking the soul out of driving, but it's doing the opposite. With the performance that electric cars can offer, you can actually have a more enhanced driving experience. This is the BMW iX xDrive 40. It comes with dual BMW electric motors, 5th generation eDrive technology, and the latest electric all-wheel drive system. Put all this together and it means it spits out 326 horsepower with a 0 to 62 miles per hour time of 6.1 seconds. The BMW i3 and i8 were the first attempts at making an electric car, but with the likes of the i4 and the iX, BMW are showcasing new technology which points to a brighter future for the company. Right, so this is the BMW iX, and as you've guessed, it's fully electric. The one I'm driving is the xDrive 40. Now, this is a very important car for BMW, and there's a reason why BMW have made this car their flagship electric car. And of course, moving into electric vehicles, BMW are looking to, bring that brand lifestyle about sustainability and, caring for the environment. And that's why I brought this car here to the Yorkshire Dales, because this is basically the environment that this car is supposedly going to save for us. And it's such a beautiful, untouched environment. And yeah, I mean, if electric cars are going to save places like this, then of course, that's something that will be welcomed. Now, I mentioned that this car is BMW's new flagship model, the iX. It's based off the iNext concept car, and it's filled with gadgets. It's filled with so much tech, and I'll go through all that tech in a bit more detail a little bit later in the video. But of course, this car, BMW have mentioned that this car is one of the most popular cars that they have sold. In fact, it's the most popular car in 2022. And that makes sense because, of course, everybody nowadays likes an SUV. And this is basically an electric SUV. BMW are a little bit late to this sort of, the electric SUV models. Mercedes have got theirs, Audis have already got theirs, and of course, Tesla is the one to compete with. But this is BMW.
Or say help. Sorry, I didn't quite understand.
Oh my word, BMW is like arguing with me. I don't know how to turn that off. We've got on a serious mission here. We're talking about saving the environment. So, we've also, whoa, we've got sheep in the road. Okay. So much is happening. Right, oh. It seems I have to follow these sheep now. Right, so as I was saying, this is BMW's flagship electric model. It's the car that BMW say is the most popular car in 2022, and because it's an electric SUV, it's one that is going to be popular. Of course, everybody loves an SUV. And it makes sense to make electric SUV. Of course, I previously drove the Cupra, which is basically an electric city car, and now I'm driving an electric SUV. And of course, electrification is going to trickle through all the different sort of car variants, and eventually everything's going to be electric. Now, another thing to mention, in July of this year, so currently today it's the 5th of August, up until the end of July, a lot of BMW iX models, particularly the xDrive 50s, were being recalled due to a problem with the batteries. The cathode was causing short circuits and there was a risk of fires. So if you do have a BMW xDrive 50 or a BMW iX M60, you are being advised to not drive the car and don't park it in direct sunlight. But this is the xDrive 40 and this car it doesn't have that problem. So of course I'm here to drive it. So what I'm going to do to begin with is I'm going to stop and we'll take a look around the outside and the inside of the car. Right, so here we are on the outside of the BMW iX, and first things first, doesn't it look majestic? I mean, from the outside, especially from the front, you get a true perspective of its size. I mean, this car is pretty much the same size as a BMW X5. The BMW X5 is slightly wider and slightly taller, but the iX is a little bit longer. I mean, but look at this, it looks amazing in this beautiful blue color, and of course the sun is quite low, so it really makes that color stand out. But yeah, I mean, first things first, let's talk about this grille, because of course BMW have their designs have changed a little bit with the grille, and a lot of people aren't too happy with that. With this particular car, this grille on the front is still that sort of kidney grille that extends downwards, but this is just a sort of plastic material. These metallic features, these triangular features on the front, they're not actually real. It's all just plastic. And this plastic actually serves a very important purpose. It's made from a polyurethane material, which basically means it can heal itself. So as you're driving along, the front of the car is exposed to the elements. It's exposed to rain, stone, chips, you know, it's exposed to being scratched, it's exposed to everything. And this material basically will heal itself. If you leave it in the sun for around 24 hours or apply some heat to it, it will basically get rid of all those scratches. And the reason for that is because of all the sensors that sit behind there. They read the road in front. So of course, because this car has adaptive cruise control and more features like this, which I'll go into in further detail later on in the video, it needs to be able to see the road ahead. And of course, if the material on the front has scratches and all sorts of impurities in there, it won't be able to read the road in front. The front grille is also heated as well, so of course if you get snow or ice on the front, then it can also melt that away, again to keep that visibility clear. I like to call the BMW iX the Apple iPhone of cars, and that's because just like the Apple iPhone where you can't open the back, with the iX you can't open the bonnet. So of course you might question, how do you change the washer fluid for the windscreen wipers? And that is of course right underneath this BMW logo right here. You just fill up your water into there. And the rest of the front of the car looks pretty impressive with these really thin headlights. I believe that these are the thinnest headlights ever fitted to a production BMW, and you've got some vents on the side and cooling ducts along the front as well. I mean, all in all, I think the grille and the front design, it suits the car, I think. With this being this big car that has this big presence along the road, and it really does have a presence along the road. You don't necessarily feel it when you're driving it, but it really has this presence on the road. Yeah, you know, it suits the car. The car also sits on, well, this particular example has 22-inch alloys, but it starts from 21-inch alloys. Now, when you see videos of this car, like you're watching this video, those wheels don't look that large, especially compared to the car. But seeing them in person, I mean, they are quite big, you know. 22-inch alloys on this particular model. As you move over to the side of the car, you get these electronically controlled door handles. I think that's a very elegant solution rather than those ones that sort of come out and yeah, this is pretty cool. It's nice, it's sleek, it's classy, sophisticated, just like this car. I love it. It's beautiful. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the back of the car, but in order to do that, I'm going to do a little bit of magic. And here we are, just like that, we're at the back of the car, and I'm going to show you a few of the features around the back of the car as well. So again, you get these very thin rear tail lights that are indented as well. Very cool design. I really like them, and of course they have you know, animations in there as well. They look pretty cool. You also get a rear facing camera for parking, and you get the sort of rear diffuser bits on the sides. Now these are basically so because this is an electric car, it doesn't need any exhausts, but BMW decided to add these sort of rear diffusers on either side to give it some sort of shape, to give it some sort of design, and I quite like that. I think that's a very good solution, rather than having just a rear bumper which looks plain or trying to put some fake vents in. I think that is a very elegant and beautiful solution for this car. I think BMW have knocked it out of the park. Along the side here, you got the BMW iX logo coming down the C-pillar, and of course that splits the roof and the body of the car to give it this floating roof line, just like I saw in the Cupra Born e-Boost. And of course, just like the Cupra Born e-Boost, you get this sort of rear spoiler, although this one isn't that deep. It's quite a good size. I think overall the proportions of the car are perfect. It looks pretty good, to be honest. I think definitely futuristic. It looks amazing. As we move into the boot of the car, let's open the boot. The boot opens automatically as well. You notice these lights inside. I'll pop down here. You notice these lights inside as well. Now the reason why BMW have added these lights is because normally the rear lights will extend around from the boot and into the side of the car. So when you open the boot, when in nighttime or in darkness, you can see people can see you. You know, they can see your car, they can see it lit up. But with this particular car, because all the tail lights are on the boot, when you lift up the boot, you can't see any tail lights. So BMW have had to add an extra set of lights for that. So basically, in order to avoid putting an extra set of lights on the side, they've added an extra set of lights inside the boot. But what that does, in fact, is makes what looks like a rather large boot look like a rather small opening. But of course, this opening, I've tested it, I've tried to put things inside it as well. It's adequate, it's more than enough. This car has around 500 litres of fuel luggage capacity, and that's plenty. Another cool feature that the iX has is you can pull the seats down by simply just pulling on these buttons here. Nice, elegant, simple solution, and of course you get plenty of room that you can through load all the way through as well. It's pretty good. Next, I'm going to show you the interior of the car, but in order to show you the amount of space this car has, I'll go through the inside of the car. So right, there we are, plenty of room to get through this car. Right, inside the cockpit, it's just a symphony of sophistication and elegance and class. Very spacious, first things first, that you'll notice. Very spacious. Of course, you don't have a gearbox or you don't have a prop shaft, so there's plenty of space down the middle. I mean, check this out. I can simply just swing my legs over and sit in the passenger seat just like that. So in the driver's seat, first things first, you will notice the seating position is great. Of course, you can change the position of the seat using these crystal selectors, and you can also set your seating position and the car will remember it, so you can always move back to your desired seating position exactly. These crystals look beautiful. They are sort of tinted a little bit bronze. Look really nice, and the seats, they give you a very good lumbar support. Of course, there's no adjustable headrest, but for someone of my height, perfect. I've been driving this car all day and I feel pretty comfortable in here. You get this hexagonal steering wheel in front of you, quite chunky, quite great to grip, and of course to drive the car. And talking about these crystal selectors, you also get crystal selectors in the center console as well with BMW's new xDrive system, and of course you can change the volume using the crystal selector as well. The gear selector is also crystal as well, and you get this sort of wooden finish to the rest of the set menu on the center console, where you can look at your navigation, telephone or media. and you can bring that up onto your central infotainment system. Moving over to the central infotainment system, now BMW have incorporated the central infotainment system with the digital dash. Now this I first saw on the BMW i4 and I found it to be quite great. I really liked it. It looks really cool. Reminds me a little bit of the Porsche Taycan, which has a curved digital dash, but this one extends out to the center, to the central infotainment system as well. So both screens are integrated to one another. The central infotainment system, of course, is touchscreen, and it is one of the best touchscreens I've ever used. A very responsive, gives you great feedback, and you know, it's very easy to use. You can do all sorts with it. There's so many apps that you can use with it. It's great. Of course, changing the climate control within this car, because it's a touchscreen central infotainment system, you do have to do touchscreen. Now, in order to get to that menu, you do have to click at the bottom here, climate menu, but it is rather easy to get to. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the climate control being in a touchscreen, but it's a great solution from BMW. It's always on this bottom sort of ribbon bar, and you from whatever screen you're on, you can change the temperature, but if you do want to change other settings, you do have to click through to the climate menu. The digital dash is great, very crisp graphics. You can also get your satellite navigation on the central dash system. If you have Apple CarPlay, you can also connect your Apple phone to the car, and when you use the navigation in your car, you can get that map up on your center dash. With Android, you can't do that yet, unfortunately. As we move towards the bottom of the center console, you get a wireless charging pad. You also get some USB ports, a 12-volt socket, and some cup holders. You get a glove box in the center, a reasonable size, and you also get a glove box in front of the passenger side. There's plenty of materials, so much going on inside this cabin. It's a mishmash of different materials and designs and features, but it's all executed really well. You've got some fabric material at the bottom here, you've got some wood, you've got some gloss black, you've got crystal, you've also got some leather. Now, with most BMW iX vehicles, the leather is sustainable, although leather can't 100% be sustainable, but BMW say that they tan the leather using olive oil or olive extract, so it's a bit more sustainable. This particular car comes finished with black leather, and I really like black leather. I really like a car to be black. That's just my preference. So this is right up my alley. I really like it. It looks pretty cool. It comes with a Harman Kardon sound system. I've been flicking through so many radio channels today to find exactly what it sounds like through different sounds. It's incredible. It really is an immersive experience. You really do feel part of the experience. And in some iX vehicles, you also get speakers in the headrests as well, so you can really be a part of the experience. I'll just quickly show you the sunroof, because that is very cool. So the sunroof is one of the coolest features of this car. It comes with this glass material that when you click a button, it blocks out most of the light. And of course, another cool feature of the BMW iX is how you open the doors. You've got these door handles, but you also have these buttons. You press the button and the door opens. That's pretty cool. I mean, a couple of times I have tried to open the door by pulling a lever, but you have these nice, simple buttons. If you do want to pull a lever, there is one at the bottom there. Simple. When you get inside the BMW iX, one of the standout features of this car is the suspension and how smooth this car is. It is out of this world. It's unbelievably comfortable. I don't think I've felt anything as comfortable as this car before. And of course, I've driven quite a fair few comfortable cars. I've driven electric cars as well. But, you know, maybe it's the ride height, maybe it's the electrification, but this car feels so comfortable. It's unbelievable. These bumps on this road are, I would imagine in any other car, unforgiving. But in this car, you can carry some speed and you can take these bumps. It takes them fairly well. I mean, I've been driving this car non-stop all day today, and it is currently 7 p.m. in the evening as I record this video, and I feel as fresh as I was this morning, and I can just continue to carry on. I would just want to carry on driving. One of the other things that's that's an important feature when you get inside the car is the steering wheel. Now the steering wheel is an odd shape. It is hexagonal. I think that is inspired by racing steering wheels. But when I saw pictures of the steering wheel, it looked really, really large and quite thick. And now that I'm sat inside it and I can see it in front of me, well, at initial glance, it looks smaller than what I had seen pictures of it, but it does feel quite large. But it seems quite enjoyable to operate. It's not difficult, but it's also not, tiny. You can really put your arm into it, and it's very direct as well. Now this car, when it goes around the corners, it has a great amount of grip. Of course, it's 4-wheel drive, xDrive. But with the size of this car and the weight of this car weighs over 2 tons. And you would imagine a car of this size would struggle a little going around bends. But this car, it doesn't lean, it doesn't roll. It just takes any bend at any speed. It's incredible at taking these bends, and roads like this, it feels at home in roads like this. And of course, around the city is the same. It feels at home around the city. The only thing that I would note around the city is the turning circle is a little bit smaller than I would have liked, especially in car parks. When you're trying to park, you do have to be careful. But of course, you've got parking sensors, you've got cameras, you've got automatic parking. It parks the car for you. It's got so many clever features, this car. So in driving during everyday life, this car has plenty of features that can help you and assist you in driving. It has adaptive cruise control, which can lock onto the car in front of you and maintain a safe distance. If that car speeds up, your car will speed up. If that car slows down, your car will slow down. It has some form of autonomous driving with the steering wheel, so it will make sure that you stay within your lane. It will turn the steering wheel for you. Of course, for that, you do have to keep your hand on the steering wheel. And it's also got parking sensors, parking cameras, and of course it will even park into a bay for you. Now, like I mentioned, one of the things that is not so great about this car is the turning circle, and I did have some trouble turning this car in car parks. But of course, like I say, with all the different driver assists, that's not a problem. I mean, there's so much here that I can mention about this car. The driving feels comfortable. It feels smooth. The seats, when I first looked at them, they did not look as comfortable, but getting in them, they do look comfortable. And of course, I've mentioned before, I like seats that don't have adjustable headrests just because they look better. But if you are a little shorter, your head will start to hit this plasticky bit here, and that could be a bit uncomfortable. But you can change, electronically change the seat position and save the seat position, which is perfect for a car like this, especially if you just want a nice relaxed drive. Now, another thing to mention with this car is that it has been voted by WhatCar magazine as the best electric SUV for long journeys, and I can see how it's got that accolade. I can see why it was voted that. It really is comfortable, it really is easy to drive, and it's enjoyable, and of course, it gets you to where you want to go and back. That I will mention about the range, however. So the range for this car is roughly around 230 miles on a full charge. If you get the xDrive 50, that goes up to around 370, although real world figures are slightly less than that. But with this car, BMW claimed that if you use a 150 kilowatt charger, you can charge from 10 to 80% in around half an hour. Now, I tried to charge this car earlier today, and it was I had the car at around 20% charge, and it was quoting me around an hour and a half to 2 hours to get full charge, and that was on a 150 kilowatt charger. When I plugged it into a 7 kilowatt charger, it was telling me around 16 hours. So I think there may be some way for the infrastructure to come, but I charged from around 20% to near enough 100%, and that cost me around £30, and it gave me just over 200 miles of range is what the computer has been telling me, and so far the range has been doing well. I've been driving fairly economically, but of course with this car it is quite tempting to stamp on that throttle and get that instant torque and get that instant acceleration, which is quite addictive with electric cars. Now I'll go to a bit more of a straighter road and I'll show you how that works. But yeah, I mean, dynamically this car is just on point. The weight and the balance of this car, because those batteries are really far down in the middle of the car, the center of gravity is really low, and it drives just so well, so enjoyable. I tell you what, I can get used to this. If more electric cars, sometimes you do end up going faster than, it feels like you're going slower, but when you look down, you're actually going faster than you are. You just don't realize with the electrification, the electric powertrain, because you don't hear it. Now, I have had trouble. So this car, you can't necessarily hear anything. There's none of that electric, whining noise in the background, like you get in some electric cars. Of course, if you do put it into sport mode, you do hear that. But aside from that, this car is very, very, very quiet. In fact, I was driving earlier and there was a car next to me and I could actually hear their phone conversation. That's how quiet this car is. And so this car, the reason why it's so quiet is because it has a drag coefficient of 0.25. So it's very, very, very slippery, very aerodynamic. So even the wind doesn't hit this car so much. So you don't even hear that much wind noise. I can see, you can hear stuff moving around in the back. That's my equipment. But aside from that, I can talk really quietly, and I know I've got a mic on. But if I whisper, you could probably hear what I'm saying. And that's so cool about electric cars, that you can do that. And especially this one, where BMW have gone to great lengths to, preserve that experience that you get with the car. It is important to mention that this car starts at around £70,000, and the one I'm driving with some optional extras probably costs around £80,000, nearly touching £90,000. Now that is a lot of money for this car, but you get a lot of car for the money. There's a lot of features in here that you get gesture control, you've got all this touch screen, this amazing dash, you've got just even how the doors open is just clever and innovative. I've really, that was the gesture control telling me that I can swivel my finger around and change the volume, which obviously, of course, has been around in BMWs for quite some time. There it is again doing it. It has been around for quite some time, but it's just so cool to use, and you can spend, when you use it for the first time, or when somebody uses it for the first time, they can spend so long just messing around with it. But another feature which you'll find yourself messing around with so much is the sunroof, which I've got closed at the moment. Press the button. Oh no, I had it. There we go, just opened that. The sunroof, which is just, it has this glass which you at a press of a button, it goes frosted, and you press the button again and it just opens. It lets all the light in, and that's pretty cool. I quite like that feature. It is a bit of a gimmick, but it's really cool. Look at this beautiful, beautiful scenery. This is why I bought the car to the Yorkshire Dales. This is the world that we are trying to save. This is what we're talking about. Wow. You know what? This is the first time I've been this deep into the Yorkshire Dales. And of course, I was quite anxious with this car's range because, of course, it's an electric car. But coming here and experiencing this, wow, this is amazing. And you know what? I don't even feel range anxiety. I've still got 120 miles of range, plenty to get me home. In fact, where I did feel a bit of anxiety was the cost of my charging. So I could see the pennies going up, and you know that is quite daunting, seeing how fast they go up. But it's still cheaper to fill up than a petrol or diesel car. And of course, if you charge it on a 7 kilowatt charger, even out in the public, you can charge it for free, or of course you could charge it at home, again for minimal cost. So I'm just soaking all this in, you know. I'm not anxious, there's no range anxiety. I'm just looking forward to seeing the rest of this place and then getting home as well. This car will get you there and it'll get you home too. And I genuinely believe this is an unbelievable car for the future. BMW, there's a reason why BMW have made this the flagship electric vehicle. It's got so much tech in it. It's just well executed, and it's just an exercise in what BMW are able to achieve. It's sophisticated, it's classy, it's comfortable, it's everything that you want in a car. And I don't usually like cars with a higher ride height or a 4x4 car. I like my saloons, I like my fast BMW M3s and M4s, but this is converting me into you know, somebody who likes electric cars and 4x4s. This is just a brilliant formula that BMW put together. So well done, BMW. I can see why WhatCar magazine have voted this car or have rated this car so highly. And thank you for letting me drive it to Stratstone BMW in Leeds. Make sure you check out their website, check them out on Instagram. Even if you're near Leeds, go down and check out some of the cars that they have. They had some really cool cars. You know, thank you very much. And if you get a chance to drive this car, make sure you drive it, because if you have the money, I would urge you to buy this without thinking, without a shadow of a doubt. At some point during the advancement of humankind, our technology evolved. Typewriters became laptops and phones became touchscreen. This new BMW iX may have its flaws, but it's a car for the future. BMW's new showcase electric vehicle. And although it may not be perfect, it definitely is impressive. BMW, it seems, are just getting started.